Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's your girl Ramlat Tamim from Reviving the Nubian Language. And today we are back again with another interesting topic that affects our community. And I have another co-host here with me who will introduce himself in less than a minute, inshallah. So today's topic is about drug abuse and how it affects our Nubian community, and also how it affects the youth in our community, how it has changed them, how it has affected families, and inshallah, my co-host will take us through this topic, which is really, really an important topic that needs to be addressed. And it's a topic that has been neglected. It's a topic that is really, really affecting our youth. So inshallah, make sure you prepare your questions. If you have any question at all, you can call us on live on studio on 0770331194, or also our SMS line is 0787535307. So yeah, let's begin, inshallah. Welcome.
Assalamu warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am grateful to be here, and I have been here before. My name is Khalil Abdullahi Kafe, and we have hosted some of the programs here together with Ramlad. On our last topic, we spoke about the Nubian language and the Nubian cultural values and traditions. But today we come here to speak about drug abuse, which is rampant in the community. Narena godus kalamta kutumia ajanade mihadarati abgi kalas ajanate ina gi kalas yalate ina fi dawlate ina ini au fi mtate ina takibra asede ana yabikun meitakum kantaindi swali masunu kita asadina inshallah anabi respond.
Shukran Khalil, and welcome once again to the show. So substance abuse in our Nubian community here in Kibra, iko very rampant, like you've said, and youth are at a higher risk of getting things like at a higher risk than non-users for mental health problems, depression, conduct problems, personality disorders, suicidal thoughts, and also attempted suicide and suicide peer in general. So even though, like, I feel like drug abuse affects users both and also non-users. And how does drug abuse affect our youth here in Kibra?
So I will categorize my presentation into three parts. Taulan ama ya kwanza, I will speak about the meaning of drug abuse, because maybe some of our listeners could have their own understanding, but also it's a reminder to all of us that drug abuse comes in two. Pia inateninta takutumia mihadarati. Taulan, it is the use of illegal drugs. The first one is the use of illegal drugs. When you're using illegal drugs, then that is considered as drug abuse. For example, if you use bang or cocaine, which are illegal to use in Kenya, it becomes a drug abuse.
Yes.
And the second definition of drug abuse, we also categorize it as the use of prescription, maybe dawa daktari wediniita ile dawa daktari amekupatia ukaitumia kwa kiwango ya zaidi, using prescripted drugs in excess, or using drugs that are not prescripted for you. So we consider that as drug abuse. Both of them happen to our community, to the Nubian community. Kulutinin giso ini maanaste ina nubi fisikatinin taulan de fi prescription hizi ambazo tunasema ni prescription, the ones we're saying are prescription, you'd find that our abubas or our grandmothers, we find that most of them are self-proclaimed doctors, or even our young people are self-proclaimed doctors. You could come with a headache and someone would prescribe to you some medicine. Maybe they're asthmatic or they have diabetes, but then they would give you their painkillers to use. So that we consider as drug abuse. So that happens in our community. We have self-proclaimed doctors. So that is how prescriptions are used in a bad way to be considered as drug abuse. Secondly, in terms of prescription, other people use prescripted drugs excessively. Kalamnare tagas, matamagas, maseme, you decide to use 2 tablets or 3 tablets so that you feel better. So that is considered as drug abuse.
Yeah.
Both of these happen in our Nubian community. So I said drug abuse we categorize as 2. The first one is the illegal drugs. The second is the prescripted drugs, which are used either, number 1, in excess, or number 2, you are self-proclaimed doctor, you prescribe your own medicine, or it is prescribed for you by your friend. So that is how we categorize drug abuse, and that is how it is being used in our community. Asede, nazo kena faham, kaman, what are some of the causes of drug abuse in our community? Kalamsadi taga ina fiwatan teina, ma vijana, ma wamaza, manas abuba, mayala, kulu anas kulu gitumia drugs. Everyone is using drugs. Not the older people, not the young people, not the children, not the mothers. All of them are using drugs. Before, only men and wazes used to use drugs. But now even women and children are using drugs. What are the main causes of drugs? The first one, why people are using drugs, it is due to peer pressure. Tagi logo kalam azol endi subana abmaseme, because someone does not have good company, they are encouraged to use drugs. So they use drugs because of 2 things. Number 1, because they want to experiment and they want to feel how those people feel. Number 2, it is both because they want to feel they've grown up.
Yeah.
Kalam tagay na kantagi juru sigara, tagi benja zola kun kebir. So if you're using cigara or cigarette, you feel you have grown, you're now a big person.
Yeah.
So every child aspires to grow up. So when they use cigarette, they feel as if they've grown up. So that is one of the causes of drug abuse. The second cause of drug abuse is the early exposure to drugs. This is highly tailored to our community. Early exposure to drugs. The first one I said, peer pressure. Kalamnendi Subana Milan. People have very bad friends around. Number 2, as I said, it is early exposure to drugs. Kalamtagi logo, kila bakan, everywhere, everyone is using it.
Yeah.
So that is early exposure to drugs. In the movies, you see it being used. At home, you see it being used. In the neighborhood, you see it being used, even by some of the prominent people, maybe some of the religious leaders. Some of them use these things. So when it is too common, now for that child, they want to experiment. So the early exposure to this effect would make someone, would take someone to using this drug. So most of the children get into drugs because of early exposure to these drugs. The third reason is due to a lot of stress. Fianas Milan gitumia janade kalamon mazu feke. There are a lot of people using drugs because they don't want to think about their problems, especially their financial problems. Ogaina kano dugu sigara sia ama kanoa kulgat umagdir kubuka janab gisumbuo. Maybe they have a sick child somewhere. Maybe they don't have money to help their families or their wives and their children. So they decide to use drugs so that they don't remember their own problems. So stress is one of the reasons that cause people to go and use drugs. Another reason, the fourth one, is parental guidance or parental negligence. Parental guidance how? Fiwa mama wa babate ina, wazazi. Abgiso sono, abgi alim yalato umon kutumia drugs. There are some of the parents who teach their children to use drugs because the mother uses drugs, the father uses drugs, and they purchase the drugs for their child. So all of them, they are using drugs. Hata kanna kele mnazu grow kenaja abin kibrati ina de tuiteit ke ben kues
Ayun.
bi ben ke fen kanana skulu ga kulgat
Ayun.
asede taga ina jagul kan kibra kun estate yala fi estate de abuba ga kulgat majidi ga kulgat yala kulu ga kulgat yala mon fi estate bi ben ke fen yeah. So parental guidance, parents are guiding their children into using drugs. Another thing is the aspect of idleness. Kalamanas gain mafaja mongi sotamana. And then the parents are the ones encouraging this. Tagi logo yoele tagi ogigen fibe, omaguraf garaya, osep garaya to, omagisoja tamana mamaisha to, asede oga bidutumia drugs. Kalam vileo idle, oguragusu subanato, abgigen fibes, monga bidutumia drugs as a way of killing time or spending their time. So that is one of the causes of drug abuse. Kalabile mongi kelem, as well as fi idol, an idle mind is the devil's workshop. Asede kan tagi gen zede shaitan gija fi fikra taki, yala tagi iso sunu, yatagi dakhal fi kalama ta kutumia drugs. So these are some of the causes of drug abuse. Labda ramla tendi stana tagger zidu fogo. Lakini these are some of the causes of drug abuse. These are some of the main things abana ina fi community teina. And another one, before I forget, is divorce. Anas magigen fijua kwes. Asede kan mon tala fijua, mon kun divorce, ama the parents separate, then that is a main cause also of drug abuse for both the children and the two parties, the husband and the wife. Because they have a lot of pressure. There is a lot that comes with breaking your marriage. And that is a main cause that is driving also many people to utilizing drugs. So if you look into the reasons that cause the causes of drug abuse, then what are those effects? Abnagaina, ajanab kulu abtakele msade, some of the effects that we see, because the effects are the results we see right now. Yeah, we can see abiletakele, anaswarin they are suicidal. Some other people have a lot of mental pressure. Why? Because of using drugs. Where can you find more finances for your drugs? Yeah, because of using drugs, yeah, you feel you're not complete without those drugs. You have an addiction. An addiction is very bad. Yeah, if you have an addiction, for you to quench your addiction, you have to use those drugs. Without those drugs, you feel like you cannot do anything. We have some people in our community, they cannot work without using cigarette. So that is a challenge. Yeah, so some of the effects of using drugs, number one, I would say, is it is truancy in our community. Tagina yala milan monsib school. Monga karaini fi day school wala fi boarding school, especially welete ina. They are leaving school and not going back. Why? Because they need to finance the drugs that they are using. If not, it is because they want money. And the easiest way to get money, and lots of money, is by selling drugs. And we have elements in our community who encourage, because some of them, they sell these drugs, and they are seen as role models in the community. Yeah, they are seen as weshimiwa in the community, and these are some of the reasons that it is propagating. They are propagating and selling the selling of drugs and using of drugs. So some of these young people admire these people because of their luxurious cars. So they want to reach there. And the easiest way to reach there is to use drugs or sell drugs. So it causes truancy. The second reason, apart from truancy, you can say some people are expelled from school because of the using drugs. The second effect of using drugs, we can see insanity. We have many people. Naidis anazi ala mitena milan abkuna velu kalamtumia janade. Kwa sababu ya kutumia mihadarati wamepoteza akili, wamepoteza ufahamu wao. Yeah? They cannot reason like normal people. They have to be taken to Madare. Others have not been taken to Madare, but they already qualify to be Madare people. Why? Because of using drugs. So as a community, as a Nubian community, we also play a major role by encouraging this sort of behavior. Thirdly, laziness. Anasabmazu so kazi. No one wants to go to work. If someone doesn't want to go to work, they don't want to go to pursue their education, So all they do is lazy around and watch movies and look for entertainment. Definitely, they will use drugs.
Yeah.
Personally, I know of some very young girls. Some of them finished high school. Some of them are still in high school. But because they have been lied to, they have been encouraged that because they are young, they need to party and exhaust everything they can before they get old. Wanasema vinja mifupa kama bado meno iko. So they choose to indulge in such behaviors, in toxic environments. Some of them go for clubbing, they engage in illicit behaviors, and of course, these illicit behaviors are reinforced by the use of drugs. So laziness is some of the effects, that bring about also some of the effects that come about from the use of drugs. Kalam kalastak tumia drugs, they tamak kun productive. You become very lazy. So that is also an effect, and it is also one of the causes of drug abuse. Another effect that comes from the use of drugs is divorce. Divorce is also a cause and also an effect of drug abuse. Anas Milan, kalamragi togi tumia ajanade mikhadarati au mara togi tumia ajanade asede momfika bakan mon magrer gen fijua wai. Kalamwede balako amugu kesh to ke so na yala ama ke rakabu na yala akil au ke lipa na yala school fees to monta school ogi tumia cash de kubio sigara, ogi tumia cash de kubio sunu kubio gat oga kul gat asede ogi finance gat to yala fibega kul sukuma bala yala ke yakul lam kalamoendis pesa. Asede they are some of the causes of divorce in our communities. Ukaman tagi logo azol gen mamaria mara togi tumia ajanade ogi tumia mikhadarati. Asede gikun go uno tagi logo tagari jafibe jua fi waskan yalama wedi fi school yalama beredu. So as a result, so many people, Anas Milan give fataran, so people get tired of this. You come back home, you find your wife, because she is using drugs, she is not doing anything, she is lazy, she is not washed the utensils, not the house, she has not taken the children to school, she has not gone to work, she has not opened the business you opened for her, or you sponsored her. So as a result, divorce. Another one is the illicit behaviors, like fornication. They encourage zina zaid. Anas can get to mere drugs, it opens all the doors to everything else. And also, we consider alcohol part of drugs, no matter the name. Kalamrabuna gikele mata fi Quran, hurima al-khamru wal maisir. Hurima al-khamr kumaanisha khamr de haram. Hata ni inaja islamia kutumia khamr. Ukhamr illa to le rabana haramisha khamr kalam illa to khamr gam gufaham daki your normal functioning of the brain because of the use of alcohol. It alters it changes it. So also the other drugs are considered at the same level with khamr because they alter the normal functioning of the brain. Asede kantagi tumia khamr gifata sika takusomasi ya wadin kulu. Kantabi tumia khamr tabakul gat. Kantabakul gat kamantabi tumia sigara. Kantabi tumia sigara tabi seregu, you will steal. Kantabi seregu tabi so zina. Tabi so ajana kulu abmagi faso uo kalamta shurubu khamr. So ata kanana di kefen, kantana di maji, ata ukiamua kuita maji, kuita supu, alhasil kutumia khamr yagiwe dina fi bakana bdaki dakhalde. Another one is the use of vulgar language. Tagi logo fizika anazgishiti mbadum tu. Le kalamazol azol ashrub merisa. Ata shar Ramadan azol man mendis haya o ashrub khamr ogurashiti manas fisika. Ogurashiti manas fibe. Ajana jade. Asede de kalam sunu kalam washrub khamr. Yeah. So these are some of the causes, some of the effects of drugs. When you use drugs, you do not use your brain. You do not think before acting. You act and then you think later when your faham has returned. Yes, when your intellect has returned, when your brain is functioning normally. Some of the effects of these drugs is that people become thieves. They steal. We have seen so many young people die because of thievery, because of stealing. Another one is that kamangi geru mood tazol. Fi anastagi logo fi jua mara o jalan, mara warja sawa, mara o jalan, mara warja sawa, ogisumbua mara tofi be, ogisumbua yala tofi be. De sabab tu sunu, de kalam ogiso sunu, de kalam oga kulgat. Kano akulgat sade wazu akil ogi jalan. Wazu sunu ogi jalan. So these are some of the funny behaviors that are come about after using or abusing drugs. Unakelem, this especially stands for the illicit drugs. Kalam, if you use illicit drugs, these are the ones that alter your normal functioning of your brain. But now for the prescripted medication, kantagi tumia asedegia orita. If you use prescripted medicine in excessive, it does what? It damages you. It makes you more it makes you weaker. It damages maybe your immune system. Yeah. So it has some other effects that are damaging to your health care. So both of those things, we need to be careful of them so that we protect our health and we protect our sanity. So as a community, we need to be aware of these things. Two types of drug abuses. The first one is the illicit drugs, and the second one is the prescription drugs, which are used in excess or are self-prescribed by someone who's not a qualified doctor. Now,
Shukran Khalil. This is the first session, the first half of our session today, inshallah. We'll take a short break, but before that, if you have any question or any addition to today's topic, you can call us on Studio Live on 0770331109, or you can SMS through 0787 535307. Again, with today's topic, which is drug abuse and how it affects our Nubian community, how it affects the youth and all the families. So back to you, Khalil. How do you think drug abuse affects our youth, but sasa when it comes to deen, like Islamically and also spiritually? Yeah.
Shukran Ramla. Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So many people so many of our youth are indulged in using drugs. It affects them spiritually, of course. Kalam fikila maasi yabtagiso gi kutita boy marabana. Yagi kelem iman gizidu ma'amala abtagiso. Even your iman or your faith increases by you doing good deeds. As much as it increases by doing good deeds, if you do bad deeds, it also decreases. So you can do efforts or do activities that would increase your mind, and you can do activities that would decrease your iman. And you're left with the basic faith that puts you as a Muslim, but you're not a mu'min. So many people, when you indulge in drug abuse, it also encourages you or takes you or facilitates you to commit other sins which are harmful to your iman or to your faith. Kalabsade kanta akulgat auta ashrub merisa aset tagi dakhal fi zina, utagi so ajana milantan, tagi serebu, tagi dulum, tagi fitimanas. When you use drugs, you get into other sins because it facilitates you to get into other sins. You commit fornication, you steal, yeah. You speak to people in a bad way, you abuse other people, you beat other people. So this is a result of drugs. And when you do these activities, automatically it reduces your faith and your iman. So when it reduces your iman, you can no longer pray normally, you can no longer do your ibadah normally, because it crushes your morale. Ukaman, that is what the devil wants. Deja bsheitana aju. Waju ketaka shur moral taki, dedicatadan tamagder logo suno, tamagder logo magfira min rabbana. So that is what shaitan wants. So the more you do ma'asiyah, it is the more you feel disappointed in yourself. And because of that guilt, you will feel you are not worthy. You will stop praying. You will stop being beautiful to your parents. You will say, let it go. I don't care. Whatever happens, happens. I'm already destined for the hellfire. But that is not the case. So they sabab gisogi kashur iman taki. So truly it affects your iman in a negative way, and you will no longer be religious in the same way. And even when you go to religion, you will be very brief, and you will not have that khushu, in your prayer. Yes. So that is how it affects you. So the only way to protect your iman is by you leaving these drugs and you committing to doing good deeds. And that is the way you can redeem yourself. Yes.
And how would you say the use of drug abuse in our community here in Kibra has affected the family setups?
Asa vile anazitumia mihadarati de. Ya jamaa atakumpibena atakumgaina. Kana mkutumia janade tagaina jua minan kashur. Because of using those things, so many houses have broken. Yeah? So many marriages have broken. So many children are stranded. They don't know what to do. Kalam sunu, kalam mamataki is using drugs. Babataki ogitumia drugs. As a day, one man get gain kujua why kalam network to obon mawai. All of us are conversant. Then when you speak to someone who is high, they don't speak something that makes sense. When you engage with someone who is high, most of the time they don't understand what you are saying. So if there is no communication in a marriage, then the marriage is over. Yes, drug abuse is affecting a lot of homes. So the wife goes her way, the husband goes his way, and the children are stranded. Another thing, how it affects marriage, is drugs, especially gut. The Gigashurgua Taragi. It's the power of a man. The power of a man is weakened. You know, you cannot be very active with your wife, in terms of your intimate life. You cannot be very proactive. Why? Because of using these drugs. They affect it. They affect it. So using drugs inamaliza ile nguvu ya kiume. You can no longer have that energy to take care of your wife, to satisfy her sexually. So most of the people, they go out of the marriage, and that is how the marriage is affected. Mostly that is how the marriage is affected. My husband cannot satisfy me. You're only engaged in your drugs all the time. So they are so many marriages are broken because of only even this reason. Hata anaswadin mongi dakal kishirk because of this reason. Kalam nao unaenda kwa mganga akuongezee nguvu ya kiume, na ni wewe ulitumia mihadarati ambaye ilifanya nini? Iliathiri nguvu yako ya kiume. So most of the time ajana jade kalam drugs ya jua gikarab. Kanjua karab, now the children are stranded. When the husband and the wife separate, maybe the husband decides to run away and leaves the mother with the child, and the mother is using drugs. So many things happen around the clock, and it is due to drugs that we reach that situation. Another situation, how it affects marriage, is because as all gitumia finances stop, instead of using your money to facilitate your family's health care, to facilitate their food, you're using that money to purchase drugs, to use drugs. So they come on, because of you get a financial crisis in your home. Because of that financial crisis, that is how you lose your house, you lose your home, and the marriage is broken beyond repair. That is what happens in so many houses around our area, around Kibra. The command gi affect and stay in a zaid. So that is how it negatively affects marriage.
And how would you say, you've mentioned a very important aspect here, how it affects men health-wise. And there's a study I was reading that shows most men who use miraa, ama niseme cat, they end up being impotent. So in many houses, in many households here in Kibra, families, you'd find that there are many cases here. There's a husband, haezi zalisha, but the wife akona like 5 children. And most of us don't believe in mambo ya DNA. There's a case I was nilikuwa a part of it. I won't say whose case because of privacy. The husband realized akona watoto 3 na hata mmoja hapo hakuna wake. All because of what? Mwanamke alisema my husband uses miraa, amekula since alikuwa young, na sasa he's a 40 something year old man going to his 50s, but miraa has affected his health so bad that hata hospitali they have confirmed ye haezi zalisha. Yeah. So nasimama fibe tukubali when and I also feel like our parents wakiambiwa like mtoto wako anatumia drugs, we all know how Nubians sometimes wana react. Tasikia nyerkuta imagitumia bangi, nyerkuta imagitumia miraa, omeza shurub merisa, and clearly physically your son ama your daughter has changed. Moral wise amechange, kuongea amechange. By the time you're there unataka ku accept, unakubali okay now my daughter or my son needs help, is yani it's almost too late. Akili yake haiko sawa, shule ameacha, yani amechange, amekuwa some whole other person, and that leads to insanity like you said. So I would encourage our mothers, our fathers, our grandparents at home, we accept kaina rudu kanirkuta kigitumia drugs mata bishana so asa duo, but wewe kama mzazi tarfu nyerkutaki, tarfu binia taki ama yoele taki, ita yawele duo, ita tarfu oseme. You can tell if your child has changed. Kubali, let them seek help, uwasaidie. Usikubali mambo ya ati anas bikele mkefena, anas biwonus kefena, mo bikele mnyerkuta isi jusa de fijede, all because you want to seek help. We have organizations like Nivishe. They deal with mambo ya mental health. They have counselors, they have psychologists wenye wanasaidia ku deal na issues ya mental health. Now they can provide counselors for you free of charge. So we can also reach out to them. You can reach out to them wakusaidia ama they help your child inshallah. So Khalil, my last question to you is what are the solutions you think can be applied to curb the issues of drug abuse in our community, in the Nubian community here in Kibra, and ita eradicate the issue of drug abuse kabisa?
So I think as a proposal, some of the things we can actually apply and will get tangible and sustainable solutions to this problem is number 1, we need to encourage spirituality, the aspect of being steadfast in religion. قُلْ آمَنْتُ بِاللَّهِ ثُمَّ اسْتَقِيمُ. So religion is the one way that you can find guidance, because you are created for a purpose. And someone who knows they were created for a purpose is someone that plans to leave a legacy on this earth. And someone who wants to leave a legacy on this earth does not waste their time with using drugs, does not waste their time staying in local areas doing nothing, lazying around. So one of the things that would actually help us is being spiritual enough. If you pray enough, inna salata tanha anil fahsha'i wal munkar. Salah will protect you from these things. If you pray enough, you will stop using these things. So the first aspect is aspect of spirituality. It needs to be applied in our houses. It needs to be applied in our house, in our jobs. It needs to be applied in our lives. The second aspect is getting busy. The fact that you're idle, it gives you the platform to actually use these things because you want to push time, you want to kill time. And as Milan, they just sit in their bases, they use drugs because they have nothing better to do. But what if you get yourself involved in a course, you study something, you get involved in doing sadaqah, volunteer work, you get involved in actually even participating in community affairs. You get a time to actually look for some employment and get good money. So this is some of the ways we can stay away from drugs.
Yeah.
Tatalata, we have to do good parenting. Kanakikele good parenting angimaanisha the mother and father need to play their role at the home. There need to be a mother figure, there need to be a father figure. Because marriage is not only an institution of two people. The institution of marriage in its own, it is an honorable and a holy institution, which was sanctified and ordained by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in his verses, he actually explained that man was created and from his ribs they created Hawa, they created the wife. Yeah, so we were created in twos, in pairs, the male and the female. So marriage is an ordained and a sanctified institution. So if we do anything, we need to do it on the basis of knowledge. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sanctified marriage, He puts rules, regulations and instructions for people who are involved in marriage. So if we follow these rules and regulations, if we get knowledge about marriage, we will lead a good parenting and a good life. We will teach our students and our kids better ways of living. So it needs to be treated as serious as that. So good parenting needs to be encouraged. And a fourth thing is people need to surround themselves with good people, good friends. Yeah, the people you are subtotal of the people you surround yourself with. And as a again more de moni agiso keta kulgat de. Kantage ina subanata giga kulgat. Gusu subana dina maga kulgat. Taba ina tabi sibgat. So start working with people who you aspire to be like. Yeah, start working with people who are religious. Taba ina tabi sib, you'll stop using these drugs. Yeah, and your life will change. Another thing is the aspect of good leadership. Our leaders. We need to see good leadership from our spiritual and religious leaders. We need to see good example of fatherhood. We need to see good example of our political leaders. That is the one way we can do what? We can guide our society. Yes. So those are the 5 things I think we can apply, and they could help us in curbing the drug abuse in our society. Yes.
Thank you so much, Khalil. This has been a very, very insightful discussion, and I hope inshallah we can expound more on the issues of mental health and how it affects our youth as well here in Kibra. And bi'idhnillah, at home, our parents tunawaomba, just take care of your kids, encourage them to pray more, attend hizi madarsa. If there's a camp, attend. Like, the more you encourage your kid, unamfunza. I also feel like our parents most parents wanaogopa watoto wakisha grow. So that open discussion, that open communication in many homes haziko. Parents are not open enough to their kids kuambia drug abuse will lead you to zina, it will lead you to stealing, it will lead you to mambo ya peer pressure. And also the major thing I feel like in affect pia our youth in our ingiza into drug abuse is FOMO, the fear of missing out. Unaona leo Khalil is smoking, Khalil anakuambia, oh, when I smoke I feel like this, ebu try. Unaona like, okay, let me try ndo miss out, let me try nisiitwe mshamba, let me try nisiambiwe ati I'm backwards, mimi wa zamani ama najifanya mzee. So the fear of missing out should not lead you into drug abuse. Trust me, that will affect your future. So inshallah, I hope you've enjoyed our discussion, and until next time, keep it reviving the Nubian language. I have been your host, Ramlat Tamim. Shukran.